Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. You are going to love this salted chocolate caramel tart. You can make the whole thing ahead of time, pop in your fridge, and then all you have to do is slice and serve. You will love the buttery crust, the luscious caramel, and of course the semi-sweet chocolate topped with just a touch of sea salt. So the first thing we're gonna do is make the crust. All you need is 1.25 cups of all-purpose flour, and you can add that to your food processor. Then you can also add 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then you can pulse that up. Now the printable version of this recipe can be found on my newly redesigned website. So hopefully it's a lot better than what I had before. Take a look, let me know what you think. And if you're not already signed up for my newsletter, you'll be able to do it there. It's free, and that way you'll never miss an episode, including all my French episodes that are coming up next month. Then you want to add 1/2 cup of very cold butter to your food processor and just pulse it up until it's combined. Then you want to add 2 tablespoons of very cold water to 1 egg yolk, and you can give that a beat just with a fork. Make sure you get that whisked up, because especially for a tart like this that we're going to refrigerate, it will keep it from getting too soggy and keep it crisp. Slowly add that to your food processor and pulse until it becomes a dough ball. Sometimes it helps at this stage just to keep kind of pulsing it. I would take it, yeah, just like that. Then you can take a piece of parchment paper and with floured hands, take your dough ball and just form it into a disc. Because you do want to refrigerate this for at least an hour, or you could do overnight if that's better for you. And the reason you want to refrigerate it is because you'll just end up with a lot less shrinkage on your dough if you refrigerate it, which is important because we're not actually baking anything in this tart. We're just using the tart shell to pour our caramel and to pour our chocolate. There, and you want to roll it out to about 1/4 inch thick. And then I'm a big fan of the removable bottom tart tin, because this is going to help us remove it nice and easily. And this is a 9-inch pan. Then you're just going to flip this over your French rolling pin, which is why I love a French rolling pin, because it's easy to transport your dough. Trim it a little bit, just along the edges, just so that you have an even double crust, because if you have too much crust on one side and not enough on the other, it can start to get a little misshapen when you bake it. So I just trim a little bit of the edges. This is the most time-consuming part. The rest of this goes super quick. Okay, and then another thing I like to do is take the palm of your hand and just fit it in to the tart tin, making sure that it's riding up the crust and you're getting a nice tight fit. Then take a sharp knife and just trim the edge. This is the real satisfying part. Then take a fork and you can just dock the bottom there, just so that the crust doesn't rise up when you're baking it. The steam has someplace to go. The other thing I like to do is pop this in the freezer for 10 minutes. Just because you've worked with the dough, and by the time you fit it all in, it starts to get a little bit soft, and just to preserve its shape, it helps if the dough is super, super cold. Then you're gonna pop this in the oven at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for just about 15 to 20 minutes, or until it's nice and golden brown and set. Then to make the caramel, you're gonna take a medium-sized pot and add 1 cup of white sugar, and then just kind of give it a shake. And this is the part that takes a little bit of patience, because you just want to leave it there, and then once you start to see it become translucent around the edges, then you can start to swirl it. And then as you swirl it, more sugar will melt. You'll start to see that amber color of caramel develop. And if it gets too hot or starts to smoke, just turn your flame down to about a medium. I'm on like a medium high now. Now, I know I'm gonna get a few comments, people asking if they can use store-bought caramel. Here's the thing with that. I just think it's so sweet. The store-bought caramel is so sweet. I don't know how they get it that sweet, because I'm using full sugar. So I don't know, do they add more sugar after? I don't know how it gets that sweet, but I think it's too sweet, number one. Number two is I don't think it will congeal back up with the same texture that homemade will. And number three, that's gonna be more expensive. This is much cheaper. It basically just takes sugar, a little bit of butter, and vanilla, and heavy cream. Things you probably even have in your pantry, so you don't have to go out and buy anything. All right, this looks good. And then you are going to add 1/2 cup of heavy cream, and with a nonstick whisk, you're gonna whisk that in. And don't worry, it'll be like a big sticky mass to begin, but the flame will start to melt that mass, and you'll end up with a nice smooth caramel. And then we can add the butter. If you don't add as much butter or as much cream, you'll have a harder, firmer caramel. So if you like it like that, you could cut this quantity in half, but after you refrigerate it, caramel can get really hard, which might be a little bit tough for your guests. So I find the gooiness of the softer caramel is a little bit easier on the teeth. There, see, now we're getting this beautiful smooth caramel. All right, now for the chocolate. We're gonna take a half a cup of heavy cream, and we just wanna heat that up until it starts to kind of simmer a little bit. Then you're gonna need a full bag, 10 ounces of semi-sweet or dark chocolate, whichever you prefer. Then you can turn the flame off just so you don't scorch the chocolate, and then you can just give it a whisk, and at first it'll look kind of like chocolate milk. It won't look like it's gonna come together, but in a few secs, we're gonna have a beautiful chocolate ganache. Nice and smooth and creamy and shiny. There, and then you can set that aside. Then once the crust is nice and cooled, you can add the caramel. Just don't add the caramel when it's too hot. It shouldn't be too liquidy. It should start to ribbon, just like this. Then we wanna place the caramel in the refrigerator just for about 15 to 20 minutes, just so it sets up, and then you can add the chocolate on top. And just smooth it out with an offset spatula. And then you can add the finishing touch, a little bit of fleur de sel sea salt. And the combination of the sea salt and the chocolate and the caramel is just so good. And then you want to place the whole thing in the refrigerator uncovered for a minimum of 4 hours, but overnight is even better. And all you have to do is slice it and serve to your guests. And when you take that first bite, you will see why this thing is dangerous. It's so delicious. I hope you guys give this one a try and let me know what you think, and I'll see you back here next time. Until then, bye.